The Last Naruto the movie. Now, of course, with Boruto, the anime officially coming out this week, I believe it was on Tuesday, it aired, I decided it's finally time for me to start catching up with Naruto again. I finished the story when the manga ended, so like after the manga ended, I was like done with Naruto. I was like, I'll wait and I'll catch some new stuff when it happens. Maybe I'll watch the last couple episodes. I didn't. So I can't even remember. I think it was, God, it has to be like over a year ago that the manga finished, and after that I was kind of like, alright, I'm just done. Or it's about a year at this point, actually. And so I was like, alright, I'm good with Naruto until the new stuff comes out. I read the special thing that they did before the Boruto manga started out, so like I read that story where they had like that kind of one-off villain. And then the anime came out. I was like, oh crap, I hadn't been keeping up with any news on anything Naruto, so I forgot to look into, because I knew they were making a Boruto manga, but I was like, oh yeah, I probably should have been keeping up on that. So that's been out, I believe it's been out for like 10 chapters now, so I haven't read that yet. I watched a couple of like the final episodes of Shippuden. I watched the Sasuke story arc, and then I watched like literally the very last episode. I skipped over the other fillers that were in there, but I watched the very last episode and the Sasuke arc, and then I just saw the last because I was like, it's time to catch up, so I watched the last. I'm about to watch Boruto the movie, and then I'm going to go into reading the manga and getting caught up on the anime. Well, there's only one episode, so seeing the episode and then getting caught up on the manga more appropriately. But I wanted to do this review because I rarely do my anime stuff, and I was like, you know what, I might as well, even though it's totally pointless because this is like 3 years old, because I think the last came out like 2014 or something like that, something crazy. So super old, but I really enjoyed it. It was a really good movie. The action was good. Seeing the new costumes, and I kind of seen it a little bit because, like I said, I read the manga and I watched the last couple episodes or some of the final episodes after the big time skip. But I hadn't watched the last, so I hadn't seen the characters really like moving around animation wise, fighting and doing all sorts of crazy stuff. And it was definitely cool to see that, to see everyone in the new costumes, everyone in the new positions. Kakashi, as Hokage, is always really cool. So it was great to watch this movie and see, everyone, and it's of course before they have the kids, so it's everyone who's older with their newer costumes, but it's of course before the extra time skip where they're like everyone's full-grown adults, and the adults are officially like older people now, and they have kids and stuff. So definitely a great movie. Loved the action to it. I thought the story was pretty cool. They kind of go almost like the evil version of the Sage of Six Paths with this guy on the moon. So I thought that was actually kind of cool. And it was like, okay, in a sense, he was kind of had the same powers as Naruto. So I was like, that's actually kind of cool. We don't really get to see Naruto go into like his final version where he has like the walls and stuff behind him, which I was like, that kind of sucks. But I think that was more related to the costume that he had. I think he was using the same power. I really can't remember. It's been so freaking long. I believe he was still technically using the same power. It just didn't, it wasn't the same outfit or anything because he was in different clothing. But it was definitely a cool ending fight scene. We get to see, kind of our typical focus. You always have the same couple of characters, I feel, whenever they do like the movies. Of course, you have Naruto. Sasuke made an appearance. I thought he had a bigger role in this. I just always assumed that he had a bigger role in the movie, but he really only had like his couple of little spots in it. But you always have your focus on Naruto. Sakura is always a big focus. I feel like Shikamaru gets a ton of focus in the movies. Maybe that's just me, but I always feel like it seems like every other movie, Shikamaru gets a fairly decent amount of focus when it comes to the films. I'm like, man, he always has a big shot, or like he always has a really important role when it comes to the movies. So I feel like you always get Naruto, Sakura, and Shikamaru. And then they actually had Sai in here, which was cool. We got to see him use his abilities. We got to see some really cool stuff where he's summoning, it was a lot more variation compared to just birds and lions. He summoned basically two giant humans, or human-like characters, and he summoned the giant crab and stuff. And I was like, that's cool to see, just on some variation. I haven't watched the anime I haven't watched the anime since they started the fourth Ninja War, and they didn't really add too much for his character as far as I can remember from the manga. So there's probably some new moves that they added for him, as far as the anime. But from the manga, I don't really remember him doing anything outside of the birds and the lions. And there are a couple of moments where he did some variations, but I don't remember like the two, like the humanoid drawings or the giant crab. So that was new for me. If they had it in the anime, then I didn't see that. But that was really cool. Of course, Hinata, and of course with this being the movie where Naruto and Hinata actually end up together by the end, we get to see Hinata, and that was really cool. And I like the way they did their kind of history and how it starts off with them really young, and great opening sequence, or I guess technically the opening sequence was with you know, the guy coming down, and technically not coming down to Earth. I guess he was never there, but the puppets were on Earth. So cool opening action sequence. But when they went to that flashback of Naruto and Hinata, I love Naruto doing the shadow clone jutsu, and they came out super tiny, because I'm like, well, you know, first episode he tried to do that. Of course he couldn't do it. Like, he summoned a clone and it was just like dead on the ground, and he summons these itty bitty little clones of himself, and I was like, that is super funny. I thought that was a really cool way to have just a new form of comedy surrounding the shadow clone. So I love that when they came out super tiny and they're yelling at the guys, and of course he gets punched and he passes out. So I like the way that they transition from that to the present, where Hinata is, you know, knitting the scarf that she wanted to give to Naruto, and I thought that was really cool. And they, you know, they have their bits in there. We get to see Konohamaru, and he finds some old stuff from the third Hokage, which was cool. Everybody's, of course, celebrating Naruto as like the big hero. It's, you know, I think they mentioned that it was 2 years since he basically saved the world, so he's getting all these gifts and stuff, and, you know, Konohamaru has to hold some gifts because he's getting so much, and everyone just loves him now. And there's like, they had the part where they're walking, well, it was after the ramen scene, where it's Hinata and Sakura, and they're walking, and some random person just loved Naruto so much they made a little Naruto snowman. So it's just like, he's the huge hero in the village and stuff like that, and he's as dumb as ever when it comes to how Hinata feels about him. Like, they even show scenes like the stuff with Pain. I was like, there's just so many things. I was just like, yep, they should have got it right there, huh? Should have been the most obvious moment. I even said that when the Pain arc happened. I was like, oh, she said I love you, they're gonna be together. And then it's like, nope, he just didn't freaking get it. So took a minute, but finally happens in this film. He's actually the one to say it first, which I thought that was actually a cool way to do it, because even Sakura says, like, you know, I never would have thought you'd be the first one to say it. I was like, wow, that's actually a nice little twist. Like, all this time that she's been nervous, but she's felt it and she's known it, she just couldn't muster up the courage to do it. Finally, he freaking realized it, and he actually ended up saying it first in this movie. And I was like, wow, that's actually kind of awesome. It's a cool, you know, nice little, you know, tiny little twist in there. So I like the way that they did that. Officially, Naruto has effing gone to the moon. That's insane. And at first I was like, okay, you know, they went through a crazy portal. That in itself was insane. They went through a portal that teleported them from Earth to the moon. But I was like, okay, you know, they're inside like this crazy genjutsu deal. They're in like this alternate weird inside the moon world. And then they were just, by the end, they were just on the moon, fighting on the surface of the moon. I was like, okay, well now they're just, I don't know. So I guess you could say that chakra allows them to breathe. I don't freaking know. But I was like, alright. At first it was crazy because they teleported. And I was like, you know, we've seen crazy stuff happen. No big deal there. But then it was just like, yeah, they can just breathe. They're just fighting on the surface of the moon. I was like, cool fight. Like I said, we even get to see Kurama fight like the giant stone creature that the other guy summoned. So that was really awesome. Didn't talk too much. I actually ended up watching the dub. I found it on YouTube. I found like the whole thing on YouTube in like actual 720p, and I was like, okay, well, I guess I'll just watch it this way. So I actually saw the dub version, which kind of makes sense after all this time. Just going back and forth for me is nothing, because I'm like, I've seen a million episodes in English and a million episodes in Japanese. Like, either one for me, I'm like, yeah, I'm familiar with all the voices. So I was fine with that. I don't know why I mentioned that, but you know, sub versus dub is always a big deal for people. But it was pretty awesome. We get to see Kurama. They certainly saved it until the end to see Naruto go into like his full 6 paths mode. So it took forever, because I was like, there are a couple of scenes where I was like, I feel like he could have easily done it there and it would have been justified. But you know, there are a couple of things in here that, you know, aside from them just fighting on the surface of the moon, that were crazy. I couldn't believe in the beginning of the film that Hinata couldn't run up walls. That really blew my mind that she didn't have that ability, because that's like simple training. I was like, we saw that was like what, season 1 of Naruto. So I was like, I can't believe that she doesn't have the ability to control her chakra to run up a wall. So that really caught me off guard. And then, like I said, just a lot of the moves, or a lot of the moments that were happening where they're getting attacked, I'm like, I feel like Naruto could have gone 6 paths on this guy. And even when they were fighting him, I'm like, he sees what this guy's capable of. Like, he had powers just coming out of nowhere. He had powers like Pain. He's doing like almighty push type stuff. He's like teleported, and he's just like making these spears. I didn't even understand that power, if I'm being totally honest. If you can explain it, please help me, because I was like, I guess it's the 6 paths power, him making the spear, and he like, you know, knocks out Hinata, and then Naruto just like, got it, boom, and he just reaches into her. It's like they were just playing around with his soul. I was just like, I don't even understand that power. So like I said, it's been a minute since I read the story, but I certainly don't remember him reaching into anyone and taking out their soul. So I don't know, I was just surprised. I was like, how in the world does that work? Because I've never seen that power before. But there are a couple of things where I was like, yeah, that felt like it didn't make sense to me, or I didn't feel like it was explained, or maybe it was because it's just been so long, I just don't remember certain abilities from the story. But mostly Naruto saving, and that's, I'm sure, like an animation thing, and just saving like the epic moment for the finale. Mostly, this dude is pulling out some six paths type powers. Like Naruto needs to like kick it up a bit. He was going like Sage mode a little bit. I was like, oh, that, and I thought that was actually a cool moment, because I was like, wow, that's cool that they actually bothered to put in Sage mode for like half a second, because they were like looking for where Hanabi and Hinata were. So I thought that was cool that it was even in there, but I was like, okay, that's pretty sweet, but he needs to like kick it up, because this dude is like almost almighty. Like, it's insane how powerful this guy is with the abilities he's whipping out. And he has like he doesn't have the 6 orbs, he had like 3 orbs until like the end, and I think he was like using all of his power, and he made 6. And I thought that was really cool, and it was a cool way to do like the history of the Sage of Six Paths and his brother and stuff like that, and how they introduced that story. Love the opening too, like kind of the CG opening that they did, where they kind of recite the battle of Kagura, or the history of Kagura, and how it led to the Great War and everything. I thought that was actually kind of cool, and so it ties into this guy's story, and how we have the Sage of Six Paths, and then his brother, and he stayed on the moon so that the Sage of Six Paths could create the Earth the way that he wanted to, and kind of lead it into a new era. So I thought that was just really cool the way they did that. And then there ended up being 2 communities on the moon, and I don't know, that was another thing that made me laugh. I was like, I don't know what these people were thinking. There's this great war, and it's like, you have the 2 armies and this like trench in the middle. This side is coming in, and they're just like, all right, activate it. And it was just like, everybody was dead in 2 seconds. I was like, did they not know that that could happen? Or did they not understand what the giant eye looking, laser beam was going to do? I was just like, they all died. There wasn't a fight or anything. It was just like, all right, boom. All of them were dead in an instant. I was just like, I feel like somebody should have known that that was at least a possibility. There's some potential to, just lose instantaneously. But they all charged in, and it's just like, all right, dead. And I was like, all right, that's a dumb battle. Like, you're an idiot for going into war. Sucks, because they were technically the good guys, because they were right about the, not the prophecy, but whatever they kept calling it, I forgot. But basically the rule is, if the world is corrupted or destroyed, it's not the version that my brother wanted, then destroy it. So the bad people ended up winning. Although they all died off, eventually, they had to give up, everyone's giving up their eyes to create the power to finally get the moon down to Earth to destroy it. So just pretty crazy. That was just funny to me, because I was like, okay, we're going to get, this flashback of how they're doing it, and they were instantaneously wiped out, and that really surprised me. And that actually came from something that they did a lot in this movie, which was very interesting. And I didn't hate it, but I didn't like it too much either. It was like really down the line. I was like, it doesn't bug me, but it's very interesting to watch, because they do this throughout the whole movie. And I don't remember this from any of the other Naruto films, but they did a lot of like montage with narration. So there are a lot of segments where characters are talking to each other, and it's like, oh, are you okay? And it's like with Naruto and Hinata, is when they first get to like the old villages on the moon, and it's like, all right, well, everyone splits up. So the 2 of them are just talking, and they're just walking down the path, but we get a montage as they're talking, like, are you okay? And, you're not having the scarf and stuff like that. And we get a montage of them traveling all over the place, and then, it just cuts to them when they're actually talking. I was like, that's interesting to do it that way. And then they did the same thing with Hinata, and the main villain, I didn't even bother to remember his name. I was like, this dude is not going to be anywhere. So I just didn't even try. But, the 2 of them, when they were having dinner, and it cut to her like walking around, and then it even cut to them having dinner in a different place. Like, they're at least drinking tea and sitting together, and she was knitting, and then it cut back to them at dinner. And I was like, this is really weird how they're doing this. And like I said, I didn't hate it. It didn't like bug me or anything. It was just really weird to me, because I've never seen it, especially not so much. Like, you can have that happen where it's narration, but it was just weird to have it where they would start in one section, and then it would cut to this montage as they're talking, and then it would cut back, and it would always, and that was another big thing, it would always make me wonder, like, so is the montage after they're talking, or was that before they're talking? Because it cuts to them talking, especially with Hinata when she was at dinner. They were at dinner first, because some of the scenes, it would cut straight to the montage, and it would just instantly start with them talking. But that was one where it literally cut to the montage, or it went to them at the dinner table, and then it cut to the montage, and then it cut back to them at dinner. So I was like, I guess this is just after, and you just kind of fill in the blanks. You just put it wherever you want to put it. It's not right now. So I just thought that was weird that they did that like maybe like 4 or 5 times throughout the movie, and it was just interesting to have a montage play out like that. I just thought it was, it's something I'd never seen. So I was like, oh, that's kind of odd, just movie structure wise, to have the montage not really go to the next step. It was just like you get a montage of stuff that they did, but there's no real placement for it. It's just like this could have been before or it could have been after, and you kind of just put it wherever you want to, but it happened. And I was just like, huh, that's an interesting way to kind of do that. And then cut back to them talking. So it could be the end of the montage is the part where they're talking, or it could be before. Like I said, the part with Hinata, there's really no way. You just have to assume it's either before or after, just because of it cuts to them having dinner before the montage. So that was one thing that I thought was just really interesting with how they did it. But I certainly enjoyed the movie. Definitely love the action. Obviously, the animation whenever they do the films is always like top notch. So that was really cool. We even got some CG Kurama. Every once in a while, whenever they do like the really crazy big stuff, you get some CG moments. But the action was good. Nice to see all the characters, even if they all didn't really have a big focus. The 5 Kage actually had, even some diplomatic stuff in here. I was like, that actually played a pretty important role. Like, everyone had to agree to stop the Raikage from, like, sending the moon to another dimension and stuff like that. I'm like, I'm surprised that actually played such a big role where we actually hear them, go back and forth about this mission and stuff. So I actually enjoyed that. The ending was good. The ending credits I really enjoyed, where we get to see them kind of at the wedding. And having seen the final episode, I thought it was cool that they, for the most part, everyone had the same costumes in this ending that they put into the final episode, except for Hinata, because they actually changed their hairstyle in the actual final episode of the series. But that was really cool. And then, of course, there's the after credit scene where we see we see them kind of just hanging out, and at first it's just Hinata knitting the scarf, and then it cuts to Naruto and the kids coming in, and it's before Naruto becomes the next Hokage, which is why I just assumed it was right after they were married, or a little bit later, but it cuts to like years later, and it's, they're playing with their kids and stuff, and I was like, that's a cool way to end that out. But really enjoyed the film. Would love to know what you guys thought about it. I know this is, like I said, super late, but it was really just resurgence as far as the anime. And that kind of just got me back into it, like, okay, finally getting back into Naruto mode and going through with everything. So I wanted to do this, got to get to Boruto. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'll probably just watch it on YouTube, but there's the Road to Boruto thing for like the last Ninja Storm game. They came out with DLC that I guess that's leading to the official story of Boruto. I'm not 100% sure where that takes place in the timeline. So I might just end up watching that as well and doing a review on it, just because it's officially called, like, Road to Boruto. It's considered like a movie. So I might just check that out with the cutscenes and do a review on that too. I'm not 100% sure. But like I said, we'll love to know what you guys thought about this movie. I know it's years later, but we'll love to know, especially with it being, years later and having officially finished the story and the extra couple of episodes, the light novels that were turned into those final filler episodes of the anime. We'd love to know kind of where this movie stands for you as far as the Naruto franchise. As far as the movies, where does it stand? Not counting Boruto and those movies, just the ones focused on Naruto. Where would you say this one stands compared to the rest? If I had to pick, I can't remember every single film in order. This is like the 7th movie, so it's pretty crazy. But I definitely put this one up there. Not just for the story, although I actually do like that because it was like, finally he gets it. Naruto and Hinata are together by the end. They even have the epic kiss in front of them when they're like up in the sky and stuff. I was like, alright, that's a cool way to do that. But I definitely put it high up there. I think this was definitely one of my favorites. I'd say maybe, if I can freaking remember. The second movie, I think, was one of my favorites. I believe that's the one where like Gaara and his team came in. That may have been the 5th movie. I can't remember. There was one where the Sand Village came in and they had a bunch of fights. That was an awesome movie. Like, there was a lot of great action in that, and I really loved it. The first one, of course, is just the first. That's just a special thing, but definitely, I think the second one. The third one I thought was cool. It was not as cool as the others, but I like that because Rock Lee had a big part in it. Plus, they had like those summer outfits. That just seeing the different variations on their outfits, I always thought is cool too. But really enjoyed this film. Like I said, would love to know what you guys thought about it, and where you feel it stands as far as all the Naruto films. So please put your comments down in the comment section below. And of course, thanks for watching.